And we have time for a weather update. Pam?
In the forecast, we have some flurries for prime time tonight, mostly cloudy skies and 35, but overnight we'll start seeing those flurries with the temperature down to 21 degrees.
Okay, thank you very much, Pam. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tonight at 10. Have a good evening.
A major fire tonight in a luxury hotel in Puerto Rico. The death toll is high.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, 2020 correspondent Tom Jarriel.
Good evening on this New Year's Eve. It's the peak of the tourist season, and it's a time when one of the largest resort hotels in San Juan, Puerto Rico was packed, when suddenly fire and a series of explosions rocked the DuPont Plaza Hotel. A government official says there are at least 40 confirmed deaths and 100 injured, and the toll could go higher. Many victims were trapped in the casino and perished there, while others were rescued off the rooftops. More now from ABC's Ron Claiborne.
A series of explosions this afternoon set off a fire at the beachfront resort hotel packed with holiday travelers. Authorities believe the fire began in the lower levels of the 21-story DuPont Plaza Hotel. It quickly engulfed the hotel's lobby and casino, where an estimated 300 people were gambling. The blaze spread to the kitchen and pool area and then upward into the guest rooms. Some guests escaped by jumping from balconies. Others fled to the roof to be rescued by U.S. Coast Guard helicopters. But scores of people were injured in addition to the dead. Witnesses say they first heard 3 explosions. Moments later, thick black smoke began billowing from the hotel. Authorities say the lower floors of the hotel were completely gutted and that most of the dead were in the casino area. The cause of the fire was not immediately known. The DuPont is in San Juan's Condado Beach resort area. It is one of the largest tourist hotels in Puerto Rico. It is believed that virtually all of its 450 rooms were booked during this holiday season. Ron Claiborne, ABC News, New York.
A short while ago, we talked to Lieutenant Joe Wiggins, the rescue coordinator for the Coast Guard in San Juan. We talked to him at the Coast Guard headquarters, and we asked him if the fire is now under control.
At the moment, the reports we've received indicate that the fire is still not under control, and we're still taking people off the top of the hotel right now.
Now, how many people are we talking about here, Lieutenant? Is it 1 or 2, or are there scores of people trapped there?
Listening to our contacts on the local scene, they indicated anywhere from 20 to 50 people have died in these fires.
Lieutenant Wiggins, can you tell me any descriptions you've had at all about the hotel fire as far as the nature of it when the first people arrived there? How severe was it?
There were several explosions. As to the exact location, I'm not sure whether it was the boiler room or the casino area. And I've seen no reports of anybody indicating fire seen from the outside of the building at the present time.
Several unions were preparing a strike against the DuPont Plaza Hotel tonight. The owner of the hotel's restaurant says that since labor tensions began, there have been at least 2 small fires at the hotel. Police, however, say it's too early to know the cause of the blaze. There, of course, can be no greater dread in crowded hotels than a major fire. They've happened before with even more catastrophic results, as John Martin reports.
This was one of America's worst hotel fires, the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. 84 persons died and 543 persons were injured just 6 years ago last month. In this fire, thousands of guests were sleeping when it broke out. In all, perhaps 8,000 persons were evacuated from casino and hotel grounds. What caused many deaths here was the delayed discovery and delayed alarm. In this New York fire at the Stouffer Hotel in 1980, 26 business executives died in a fire apparently set by an arsonist. The states have been trying to raise protection standards. Nevada has passed a retroactive automatic sprinkler law. Some hotels, especially the Marriott chain, have taken the lead in retrofitting their facilities with sprinklers. The question investigators will be asking in Puerto Rico is whether the hotel had installed sprinklers throughout the building. According to safety experts, many American hotels remain dangerously ill-equipped. John Martin, ABC News, Washington.
Later in this broadcast, President Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev separate messages to the Soviet people. And Richard Shrelkill takes a look back at the year that was.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by General Foods Corporation.
Mention decaffeinated coffee to a lot of coffee drinkers, and this can happen. To them, decaffeinated just doesn't have enough flavor, enough aroma. But now there's new Brim. It's aroma blended to give you a rich aroma, a full-bodied flavor. So for some people, it's new Brim or nothing.
Brim?
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 What do you think?
Fill it to the rim with new Brim.
Introducing Medipren when you haven't got time for the pain of arthritis.
Haven't got time for the pain. No, I haven't got time for the pain anymore.
Medipren has ibuprofen, the prescription ingredient recommended by doctors 2-to-1 over aspirin for body pain, including minor arthritis pain. And it's safer to your stomach than aspirin.
I haven't got time for the pain.
When your body hasn't got time for the pain, new Medipren from the makers of Tylenol products.
It's already 1987 in a good part of the world. Crowds started gathering early in London's Trafalgar Square to ring in the new year. In Paris, celebrations were centered around the Arc de Triomphe, although the traditional fireworks were banned there for security reasons. In Russia, Soviet television broadcast pictures of the Kremlin Tower as its clock chimed the stroke of midnight. And at that very moment, as Sheila Cast reports, the Soviet people heard New Year's greetings from President Ronald Reagan on their radios.
Good evening, and Snovim Godem. This is Ronald Reagan, President of the United States of America.
The Voice of America not only broadcast the president's message in English, but also translated it into 17 Soviet and Eastern European languages. Mr. Reagan's taped message complained about the Soviet government's decision to keep his greeting off television there, but nevertheless predicted the U.S. and USSR will make progress toward peace in 1987.
Both governments have worked hard together. As you know, there have been setbacks and frustrations, as well as progress. I'm disappointed that we didn't accomplish more. And yet in 1986, the United States and Soviet Union took major steps toward lasting peace.
The president did not detail those steps other than to insist the Reykjavik summit recharged arms control negotiations. In apparent reference to Andrei Sakharov and other Soviet dissidents, the president noted progress in human rights.
Whenever there's a restoration of those rights to a man or a woman, as has happened recently, it helps strengthen the foundations for trust and cooperation between our countries.
General Secretary Gorbachev's televised message to his own people called 1986 a year of struggle for peace.
The door to negotiations is still open, but everybody must know our goodwill and our desire for peace is got nothing to do with weakness.
The president did not mention two of the thorniest problems between the superpowers, nuclear testing and his strategic defense initiative, which the Soviets see as a block to all arms control agreements. Sheila Cast, ABC News with the president in Palm Springs.
New information surfaced today in the Iran arms scandal. Information suggesting that the clandestine arms deals amounted to a straight swap of weapons for the release of American hostages in Lebanon. And as ABC's John McWethy reports, direct contacts between the U.S. and Iran continued even after the scandal had become public.
Even after hostage David Jacobson had been released in Lebanon, and well after news of U.S. arms sales to Iran had reached the public, one last secret meeting in Geneva, Switzerland was held between a U.S. emissary and a contact from Iran to see if freedom for other hostages might still be negotiated. U.S. sources who would not divulge who that American emissary was say the Iranian contact said it was too late. There was already too much publicity. Meanwhile, the Washington Post today reported new details of the final deal that was negotiated a month before, the deal that resulted in the release of Jacobson, the last American hostage to be set free. It was an early October meeting in West Germany. The emissary from Iran on one side, on the other, Oliver North, plus former CIA Iran expert George Cave and retired Air Force General Richard Secord. The terms of that final deal: for $4 million, which was paid by check to the American group at the meeting, the U.S. agreed to sell Iran another 500 TOW anti-tank missiles. In exchange, Iran would release one hostage, perhaps more. The missiles were delivered to Iran on October 31st, and 2 days later, Jacobson was free. but 5 other Americans are still being held. In The Hague, Netherlands today, U.S. and Iranian negotiators adjourned their talks, which were aimed at settling a 5-year-old dispute over $500 million the U.S. owes Iran. Negotiators are returning home for new instructions. Iranian officials say settlement of the debt question could help with the hostage issue. As for the State Department, it says there is no connection of any kind. John McWethy, ABC News, the State Department.
When we come back, Korean exports to the United States. Is Korea the new Japan?
When you need it most, you can get extra strength relief from acid indigestion with extra strength Riopan Plus. In lab tests, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. You can also get extra strength relief from heartburn with extra strength Riopan Plus. Ounce for ounce, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. Extra strength Riopan Plus. Regular strength, too.
Want to know what Old English Oil can do for your paneling? I won't tell you. I'll show you. Look, I'll write on this paneling with Old English Oil. See the difference? Old English Oil moisturizes to help prevent drying and cracking. It helps bring out the beauty of wood and gives a rich, natural glow to all your furniture. And it's so easy to use. Old English Oil, a beautiful way to help protect against drying and cracking.
Thanks a million, Publishers Clearinghouse. Oops, thanks 2 million.
Just 1 month from now, you could be the lucky one to say, thanks 10 million, Publishers Clearinghouse. Watch your mail for this house and enter right away. Your lucky number can win you $10 million this January 29th, right on TV. Only Publishers Clearinghouse can make you so rich, so fast. So enter today.
There's no place like our house.
In tonight's Money Matters, the trade deficit rose to a record $19.2 billion in November, in a large part because of a surge in the imports of Japanese cars. And to top it all off, the hottest new auto import is not from Japan, but South Korea. In fact, Korean products of all kinds are finding a new popularity in U.S. markets. Here's our economics editor, Dan Kortz.
Since it was introduced last February, the little Hyundai Excel has become the most successful new foreign car ever to hit the U.S. market.
Sales are spectacular. Problem, frankly, is getting enough inventory. We can sell every car we get, and we have a backlog of orders.
Cars are not the only products Hyundai ships to this country either. This $699 blue chip computer recently went on sale in 500 discount stores, and company executives say the machine already has 4% of the market.
You have all the power and performance of an IBM PC XT, but for less money than you have to pay for an Apple.
Hyundai's invasion shows how South Korea is taking a leaf from Japan's book, combining modern technology and low wages to produce high-quality goods that undersell American manufacturers. For years, South Korea's main exports to the U.S. were cheap items like clothing. Now all that has changed. For example, this year has seen an explosion in U.S. sales of Samsung and Lucky Gold Star television sets, VCRs, microwaves, and other electronic products.
In terms of color television, Korea this year probably will be the #1 source of imported color television sets.
And long before Hyundai began exporting its computer, the Korean-made Leading Edge had become one of the most popular personal computers on both the East and West coasts. Total South Korean exports to the U.S. rocketed 31% this year to an estimated $14 billion. And the American trade deficit with Korea has doubled to almost $10 billion. Next year, the gap could widen in spite of South Korea's recent promise to buy more American goods. Not surprisingly, representatives of some U.S. industries are alarmed.
I think it's just a question of the problems that our economy has had with Japan. We're going to see more and more of these with Korea as the years go by.
But Korea and Japan are very different in important ways. South Korea is 1/3 the size of Japan and therefore less productive. South Korea imports a much larger share of the goods it consumes. And South Korea spends 6% of its gross national product on defense, compared with 1% for Japan. Moreover, Asian experts say South Korea's exports to the U.S. are mainly taking sales from Japanese firms that are already here.
The big increases in the future in Korean exports to the U.S., and I think there will be big increases, will come primarily by outcompeting Japanese goods that are already being imported in the U.S. In other words, it won't be American jobs that are being lost. It may well be Japanese jobs.
But with Korean clothes, computers, and cars flooding the market, that idea may be hard to sell in a lot of hard-hit American towns. So the pressure to do something about the Korean threat seems sure to intensify as the coming year unfolds. Dan Courts, ABC News, New York.
On Wall Street, the final session of the year saw stocks drop below the 1900 level. The Dow Jones Industrials lost 12.5 points in fairly active trading today. When we come back, a new liver, a fourth one, could mean a happy new year for a 7-month-old Chicago girl.
This country may be in danger. We could be losing something we can't afford to lose. Once in this country, when a man produced a product, it was the best he could possibly make. He stood behind it with pride. He lived a simple idea. Do it right or don't do it at all. Nobody told him that. No government agency dictated it. And it built a standard of living for the world to aim at. Now that idea is threatened by the slipshod, the second rate. To some it means quick riches. To some it means quick death of the standards we have built. Some are fighting this threat. Whirlpool Corporation believes in one simple idea. To continue to build and sell only good, quality, honest appliances, designed to give you your money's worth, and to stand behind them with pride, or they will not build them at all. If we can't keep this simple idea alive, then indeed we are the endangered species.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And if your child had a cough, she'd get just what the doctor orders. But for your cough, you play doctor at home, even trying medicine you originally bought for your child. You need one of the adult formulas from Vicks. For the coughs adults get, with the strength adults need. Formula 44 for coughs, 44D for coughs with congestion, and 44M for coughs with congestion and a raw, irritated throat. The adult formulas. You can't buy anything more effective.
The adult formulas from Vicks, of course.
In the look-alike world of financial services, one stands out. It's one of America's strongest diversified financial experts. A fortress of insurance protection for group medical care and employee benefits. A master architect of financial growth in pensions, mutual funds, and real estate investments. It's the Travelers. Have you looked under the Travelers umbrella lately?
Megan LaRocco is a sandy-haired Chicago infant who, because of problems of rejection, has had 4 liver transplants in the last month. In a 5-hour operation last night, she received a liver the doctors say is just right. But Megan's medical treatment has raised questions of fairness, as Chris Bury reports.
Only 7 months old, Megan LaRocco is the youngest person ever to get 4 liver transplants. Today, her parents and doctors were optimistic the 4th transplant in 4 weeks would work.
She looks terrific.
We're quite happy to report a really successful operation on a patient who was critically ill.
For the 300 other patients and their families awaiting their first liver transplants, the news of a 4th in one baby may seem unfair. But the question of fairness here is a complicated one. Megan LaRocco was among the 6 most critically ill liver patients in the country. A national transplant center in Richmond, Virginia keeps track, matching organs with donors. 2 of the livers given to Megan were offered first to other patients, but were unsuitable because of size and damage.
We do not waste the precious commodity, the donor organ, if there is little or no chance of survival of the patient.
Meanwhile, this Chicago family desperately awaits a first liver transplant for their 6-week-old daughter. Cora Ann Bogle, like Megan LaRocco, suffers from a fatal liver disease. Her parents are envious but not upset. Another Chicago baby has had 4 transplants.
Wish one would have worked for Cora, but their daughter means everything to them, just like ours means everything to us.
For Megan LaRocco, a 4th transplant means a last chance for a new life in the new year. The same chance another Chicago family prays for tonight. Chris Bury, ABC News, Chicago.
In a moment, saying goodbye to 1986.
Wow!
In 1981, the French ski team missed an important meet. The U.S. team arrived early. And in 86, the Italians ran into a small problem. The U.S. team arrived early. For 10 years, the four-wheel drive Subaru has helped the U.S. ski team get a jump on the competition. Except in 84, when the Swedish women's team broke down. Subaru, the official car of the U.S. ski team.
Howdy, ma'am.
My sister recommended Preparation H for my hemorrhoidal symptoms. Why should I listen to my sister? Because she's also a doctor.
In a national survey, 2 out of 3 doctors named Preparation H among the hemorrhoid remedies they recommended to their patients.
Doctors know best.
Arthritis. Today there's something else to take. Anacin caplets, the first coated caplet containing aspirin, the medicine doctors recommend most for minor arthritis pain. For hours of relief, Anacin, doctor recommended, now in coated caplets too.
Only American Family makes its winners millionaires year in and year out. This February, you may be next. $10 million. Millions of dollars for homes, travel, boats, cars, all for you.
And still have millions of dollars left over.
So watch for the American Family Publishers envelope with my picture. Just 2 months from now, I may be awarding you $10 million. Enter now.
Finally, tonight, New Year's Eve is not just a time for celebration. It's a time of hope for what the future will bring, and a time to remember the triumphs and the tragedies of the year gone by. Richard Threlkeld looks back at the important moments of 1986.
It began with such good wishes.
I wish you all a happy and healthy New Year.
I wish good health, peace, and happiness.
Wishes that didn't come true. Not for America.
Challenger, go at throttle up. Challenger, go at throttle up.
Our astronauts died before our eyes in one awful instant. Among those aboard was a teacher. The school children spoke for all of us.
I was horrified. I didn't think that would happen. I didn't think that would happen.
The Russians suffered a different calamity. The meltdown at Chernobyl worried everybody on this very small planet. There were other things to worry about. Terrorism. The White House blamed it on Libya and acted accordingly.
The purpose of the attack was to hit the nerve center of terrorist training, and that's what we hit.
South Africa.
They just come and shoot us.
More of an outcast society than ever.
If we are forced to go it alone, then so be it.
AIDS. The World Health Organization said 10 million people are carriers. Drugs, especially a bad new one, crack. The first couple even tried some moral suasion.
When it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
When you wish upon a star.
Or you could look on the bright side of 1986. You could tell everyone you saw Halley's Comet, barely.
Bright star on the top and the fuzzy thing below. I think I saw it all right.
You could say you saw the Bears beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl with a refrigerator. Saw the Red Sox boot the World Series.
Behind the bag, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. Herndon getting the lead.
Willie Shoemaker rode a Derby winner at age 54. Jack Nicklaus won the Masters at age 46.
Yes, sir.
Go into the chapel and
Little Caroline Kennedy, all grown up, got married. Her cousin, Maria Shriver, married a muscle man. An actress, Tatum O'Neal, married a tennis star. And a commoner, Sarah Ferguson, married a prince. some old familiar faces disappeared. There were some who died much too soon. Len Bias, our own Joe Spencer, and his producer, Mark McDonough. Some history was made this year. Voyager flew around the world on one tank of fuel.
Welcome home.
There were some transitions. The Burger Court became the Rehnquist Court. Kurt Waldheim became president of Austria, despite some ugly things he was said to have done while he served with Hitler's army. Cory Aquino became president of the Philippines, thanks to people power.
The long agony is over. We are finally free, and we can be truly proud.
Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos wound up in exile in Hawaii. She even had to leave her shoe collection behind. There were some comings and goings. Baby Doc Duvalier had to make a quick getaway from Haiti. The Russians released their dissident Anatoly Sharansky. The Nicaraguans captured Eugene Hassenfuss and later let him go. The Russians released Nick Danilov, American journalist. We released Gennady Zakharov, Soviet agent. It wasn't a trade, they said, just a coincidence. For Ronald Reagan, 5 sweet years in the White House suddenly turned sour. He wanted a summit to make an arms deal with the Russians. He got his summit, he didn't get a deal. He wanted to keep the Senate Republican.
Just win one more for the Gipper.
The Gipper lost. He wanted the Contras to win in Nicaragua, and he desperately wanted to get our hostages out of Lebanon. He got 2 this year.
Those guys are in hell, and we've got to get them home.
But those 2 presidential preoccupations caused the biggest White House scandal since Watergate, damaging his presidency and his good name.
The polls show that a lot of American people just simply don't believe you.
The president promised no secrets. But the president's men who knew the secrets just said no.
I respectfully and regretfully decline to answer the question based on my constitutional rights.
A year that ended badly, yet full of evidence to show that we remain one nation, indivisible. We joined hands almost all the way across America. The drought ruined the crops in the South, so the Midwestern farmers brought some of theirs.
It means that the country we're so darn proud of is able to pull together.
And we fixed up Lady Liberty for another couple of centuries and reminded ourselves why this place of ours, this America, is so special. Richard Threlkeld, ABC News, New York.
And that's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Tom Jarriel in Washington. See you next year, and have a happy New Year.
Wednesday.
My dear Crystal, your husband blackmailed me.
We did it. We won. We got everything back.
When Blake's on top, Alexis lashes out.
I run my life the way I see fit.
Don't miss the New Year's Eve fireworks on Dynasty. Tonight.
Is your table a junk food junkyard? Cholesterol, grease, salt. Get Country Pride boneless chicken. Fresh. Just 30 minutes. Come out of the junkyard. Country Pride boneless chicken.
Pizza Hut introduces an offer of epic proportions. Right now, call and ask for the carry-out party pack. 2 large one-topping pizzas for just $13.99. Call and order the party pack, and in minutes the gang can be feasting on 2 hot, steamy pizzas. That's 2 large one-topping...